Hello everyone, welcome to an analysis of dance where we discuss the movements and debuts of the Billboard Hot Dance charts in immaculate detail, with in-depth reviews of each debut each week. Man, it's nice to get back to the chaos, and even if the debuts show a pretty standard week across the board, there's a lot of things that are brewing that can absolutely cause some chaos for this chart moving forward. It's showing just how much risk these charts are of a serious shakeup, and given that Dua Lipa's album is coming out in May, yeah, we're pretty much starting that now, and it's going to be absolutely hectic moving forward. Hell, speaking of Dua Lipa, Houdini by Dua Lipa is at number 1, and really I have no expectations that this is going to go away anytime soon. I mean, even if radio was continuing to rotate this out pretty fast, it's still got streaming, and it is such a powerhouse there that it's not going to die really quickly. But it's also very telling that Yes and by Ariana Grande is at number 2, where it absolutely collapsed on streaming and sales, and given that radio is rotating this out really quickly in favor of the new single, I'm not exactly expecting this to stick in the top 2. Oh hell, it might even lose out to Train Season by Dua Lipa at number 3, where the radio was really on board with this and streaming managed to rebound considerably. This might actually end up being a hit and giving Dua Lipa a full top 2 filling for a while. But what surprised me was Strangers by Kenya Grace at number 4, where the radio is no longer a thing at all with this, but streaming is really damn solid, and more importantly, it's going to stick at this spot next week as the album will probably impact in some way. But more likely the rebound is because Murder on the Dance Floor by Sophie Ellis-Bextor is finally starting to collapse at number 5, where the radio is really rotating this one out too, and streaming is starting to fall back. It's exiting pretty damn naturally for a song that honestly did way better than I expected. Outside of that, the remainder of the top 10 remain pretty damn steady as all hell, with Contigo by Karol G and Tiesto at number 6, which finally fell off the Hot 100 as streaming is starting to fall back with this. And then there's Whatever by Kygo and Ava Max at number 7, where they still haven't sent this to radio. Way to fumble a potential big hit, guys. This is a huge waste of your Ava Max. Followed by Von Dutch by Charlie XCX, somehow still here at number 8, where the streaming is remarkably strong with this. Great, this is going to be a hit, and In the City is not. That's not good at all. Finally, Insane by Blake Griffin and Basic continues to exceed all expectations at number 9, where the streaming is still on board, and the same case as well with Shiver by John Summer and Hailer at number 10. Honestly, I'm not complaining that both of these are here. They're both some of the best songs in this top 10 at the moment. But what's also good came in our falls and fall-offs, where we honestly didn't really lose much of note at all. And hey, the stuff we did lose was 42 by Diplo and Mara Morris and Diamonds and Roses by Vapor God, which will both make the year-end list, but I'm not exactly complaining that both are gone. They're not very good at all. Shame the falls were a lot better in quality, as you saw some songs getting naturally rotated out here. Yes, it's really nice that My House by Beyonce is continuing to just not stick around at all at 23. This is probably going to not even last past 20 weeks, which for a number 2 debut is not good. But alongside that, Dance You Out of My Head by the late Kat Janice fell down to 38 as it continues to lose streaming and sales. This isn't really all that surprising for me. And Perfect Exceeder by Mason and Princess Superstar is exiting naturally at 24 as well, and honestly I'm really surprised that this one stuck around as long as it did. It's going to make the year-end list, and that's great. But if you're wanting an area that's showing consistent promise week after week, it's our jumps and comebacks, and wow, this week is no exception again. I mean, our only comeback was For Morant Better Luck Next Time by Comtrue's finally getting a bit of momentum at 45. Let's hope this actually sticks around now. It's a really good song. But the jumps are what's a lot more interesting here. The main one is Thank You Not So Bad by Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike, Tiesto, W&W and Dido, surging all the way up to a 12, thanks to the extended version giving it a huge boost on streaming and making it Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike's highest charting song to date. So yeah, congrats to them, I guess. I mean, thank God that this extended version is actually really damn good. It makes the song feel a lot more fleshed out, there's a bit more production quality to it, and the extended drops are actually really damn nice. I actually would rather listen to this over the original, and if this means it's going to be its highest charting song to date, whatever, I'm not complaining. But alongside that, we got the welcome surge of H+3 plus Poison 7 LUC JLo OT6 by Vivel up big to 17, where even with it being removed off streaming for one day, it's still absolutely sticking around, which is great. But what's most pleasing to me is Echo by Rascal, Ripiet and Julia Klein up to 34, where it's actually getting a big push now and pushing Starter House into the mainstream even further, where it might actually become a hit. That's absolutely great. Hell, on the topic of Rascal and Starter House, our debuts begin with number 50, Lost by Rascal, It's Murph and Twin Diplomacy featuring Jack August.
Cause I get lost, holding on to it all.
Honestly, I'm kind of of surprised that's taken this long for this song to chart. I mean, it's gotten a big airplay boost recently, and it came out right after its Murph's big breakthrough with Food for the Soul, so I'm honestly surprised that it's taken this long to cross over, as people seem to be checking out Rascal's stuff more after Echo's success, which is a good thing, by the way. Now look, I love both Echo and Food for the Soul, so I had high hopes for this, which is just a shame that it's not as good as those two. Granted, that's still acknowledging that this song is absolutely great and one of the better songs on this chart at the moment. The tight tech house adjacent groove with some really nice stuttering synths that play out really damn well over the drops and do sound quite pretty with the atmosphere, as well as a very solid underlying synth groove that shows that these guys can really nail the groove on top of their great atmosphere here. But that being said, the big setback for this song honestly might actually be Jack August. I mean, putting aside for the fact that Lost does not rhyme with noise and makes the build-ups a little bit awkward, his vocal effects honestly remind me a lot of the lead vocalist of Glass Animals, which isn't really a good thing. They kind of sound really uncanny and don't mix into the vibe at all here. But still, it's a damn good song. It's just that if it was an instrumental or you gave Jack August less of the really obnoxious vocal effects, I'd honestly like this a lot more. Still, I hope this one actually sticks around. It's solid as all hell. Number 47, BRODYAGA Phonk by Eternxlkz. Feel like the Brazilian funk wave just kind of came and went. I mean, after Monte Game and Brasilia Danger Funk both became hits in 2023, the genre just doesn't really seem like it's going anywhere at the moment, with a lot of the names that are charting nowadays either doing hybrids or going more towards drift funk. I mean, I can't exactly complain. Outside Brazilian Danger Funk, I have not liked any of the Brazilian funk songs that have charted in recent memory, so I wasn't really excited for this, and my worries were confirmed because this isn't really all that good. I mean, it's got some pretty synths that create a pretty potent atmosphere. I can at least see appeal from a melodic perspective, and it is 2 minutes long, so it doesn't feel nearly as underdeveloped as Montegem does. But man, the percussion on this song is just terrible, where it's going for the exact same style of Montegem PR Funk, but where that song at least made sense with the instrumentation considering the darker vibe that it was going for. Here, those drums just do not fit at all next to the much prettier synths. It just ruins the atmosphere of this entire song and sounds awful to boot, alongside some vocal chops that just do not capture the mood at all and really sound out of place as all hell here. Man, what a way to ruin all goodwill I had for this song. I mean, it's not bad, but my god, this should be way better than it is, and I'm not going to return to this at all. I'd probably skip it. Number 40, Settle for Less by ZHU and Sabrina Claudio.
And I need to know if I'm the one of putting the work. Now it's your turn.
Okay, before I get into anything with the song, Billboard, are you actually looking at who you're crediting? Because this is not Sabrina Carpenter on vocals, it's Sabrina Claudio. You guys should know better than this. Why the fuck are you crediting it under Sabrina Carpenter? Anyways, I'm honestly surprised that anything from this album was actually able to cross over, considering it hasn't really had any sort of impact at all, with none of the lead singles even charting here. I mean, as well, the mixed reviews from this album just really drained me, because I remember when I used to really like ZHU, and Generation Y is one of my favorite mainstream deep house albums of the past few years, but the downfall has just been really damn notable. This could honestly be a train record in the few years, depending on how well he goes after this. But anyways, here's a collaboration with Sabrina Claudio, who was on the worst song of the Chainsmokers 2019 album, so I wasn't really looking forward to this, and okay, it's actually not that bad. That being said, I think what holds me back from saying this is legitimately good is that it just feels like it's way too long-winded, with half of its 4-minute runtime being dedicated to just piano and Sabrina Claudio and vocals. Now look, I like her vocals. I think she's got a really pretty vocal tone that does work well for the nocturnal vibes here, but as soon as the dancehall production comes in the second half of the song, it becomes a lot better, a lot more interesting for me. It's got a very solid groove, even if the mix does make the percussion a lot louder than anything else in the mix, and that's a little bit awkward for me. And when those buzzing synths come in, the song develops a low-key groove that I actually found really enjoyable. I mean, I definitely get why this got pushed off the album. It's still not great, it does drag on a bit long, and I don't really see myself returning to it all that often. I'm still not interested in checking out the album considering the really mixed to negative reviews on it, but hey, I'll at least take this. It's passable, I guess. Number 35, Cheerleader by Porter Robinson. I mean, to pardon the pun, it's just not fair at all. I mean, 2 years after Everything Goes On, 3 years after Nurture, Porter Robinson is finally back with a lead single for his new album that actually debuted a week early thanks to huge streaming and sales, so I expect this to surge come next week. So yeah, I was very excited for this, and yep, he absolutely delivered here. In fact, I'll go on a limb and say this might actually be my favorite lead single that he's released for any of his albums so far. I was absolutely floored by this one. For starters, it goes more towards the power pop or rock direction with that really blaring synth line against the fuzzier rock production that honestly reminds me a lot of the early 2010s where that sort of sound was allowed to get more anthemic and chart in the mainstream, and that's absolutely welcome nowadays. Especially with Porter himself sounding absolutely fantastic on that hook as his voice really explodes and shows some genuine growth in personality over the years. He's become a lot more expressive as a singer, and that's absolutely welcome on a song like this. But what really worked here the most for me were the lyrics, where the titular cheerleader is referring to obsessive fans and the fact that they don't really know where the line is when it comes to how they treat Porter Robinson, and he seems to be mostly aware of that. But then there's also the added complication of depending on these fans just as much, if not more, than they depend on him. And it's their consistent support and love for him that drives him forward with his music to the point where he absolutely loves them as well and sees the entire reason behind their mentality. It's a mature, very well realized take on parasocial relationships where even with the added stress of breaks and touring and knowing that his fans are going to be living without any sort of new music for him for a while, he's more than willing to provide them, and he really does love his fans that much. Just a phenomenal song across the board, one of the best songs he's ever made. I'm looking forward to this absolutely surging come next week, and I really gotta hope that it absolutely sticks around because it's fantastic. Genuinely worth checking out if you haven't already. And finally, number 25, Sippin Yak by Cloonee.
Sippin Yak in the club back and throwing it back.
We need riders, thugs, and scheme up in the cut. Gangsters on the floor, throw it up.
We be ghetto celebrities in the VIP, blowing back to the green, that's how we do it.
Okay, what the hell actually is this? I get in the age of TikTok that anything with any sort of alternative bend can chart, but this isn't even an older song at all. In fact, this actually came out last week as of recording this, so yeah, it's relatively new. But for context, Cloonee is a house and techno producer who's been releasing since 2014 and has actually shown up on Armada Music as well as remix for Matoma, so he's actually pretty well established and a lot bigger than I expected. But this seems to have gotten a lot of groundswell right out the gates, and my god, this is a strange song, but honestly one I really liked. With the sort of dry rave-esque production with a phenomenal bassline and a chopped up sample of We Like by Tracy Lee and Fat Man Scoop, that honestly reminds me a lot of the underground music that was played in the techno scene around the 2000s. Quite frankly, one of the strangest songs you'll ever see chart here. It honestly feels like it's from a completely different generation, and chopping up Tracy Lee is definitely a good reason behind that, but honestly one that I found myself really gravitating towards. The mix has this distinctly dark feel that honestly reminds me a lot of the underground rave scenes of the time, definitely helped by the chopped vocal sample sounding really clean and crisp, against a beat that honestly hits a lot harder than it has any right to and really is groovy as all hell. I mean, it absolutely slaps. I have no idea how long this is going to stick long term, but honestly if it ends up becoming a hit, that's another list onto the weird hits of this year, and also ones that I like a lot. So yeah, this is great. Check it out if you haven't already. And that's this week. Honestly pretty solid. There wasn't really a whole lot I didn't like here. I mean, the worst is easily BRODYAGA Phonk by Eternxlkz for some truly baffling production choices, but even then it's not the worst thing I've heard out of this genre. I guess I'll take it over some other songs there. But the best, yeah, it's going to Cheerleader by Porter Robinson, and it's not even particularly close there. Although I will say that that Cloonee song is actually really damn good, and I was honestly really surprised by it. Next week, alongside Porter Robinson surging, I expect AAoD to debut pretty damn high. Although there is the possibility of the Kenya Grace or Justice singles getting pushed, so yeah, that's at least something to look forward to, even though I have no expectations there. But yeah, that's all for this episode of Analysis of Dance. See you next time.